G'day everyone, Tim from vMix here, and today we're looking at adding titles to your live video production in vMix. Titles are super important in live video production for creating engaging content and displaying information to your viewers. I mean, how else are you going to know that my name is Tim and that I'm making a video about titles? Thankfully, titles are really easy to add in vMix. So I already have a vMix production here, but as you can tell, something's a little bit off. It looks a little bit bland and a little bit stale, so I think we need to add some titles to it. So it's convenient today that we're doing a video about titles. So in the bottom left-hand corner, I just need to click Add Input, and then go to Title/XAML. Now this is where you can choose all of the different title templates that are available to you in vMix. Now across the top, you'll see a lot of different categories that you can select from. So for example, GT title is mainly lower thirds. We have tickers, scoreboards, social content, text, and timers. So as of vMix 22, we added a brand new graphics engine that allows for easy and efficient animated titles that uses your graphics card. Now the titles with the GT prefix use this new engine, and they'll typically have some kind of animations on them. However, if you wanted to make these static, you could disable the animation from the input settings of the title, or you could create your own custom static titles using the GT title designer, which we have plenty of videos on our YouTube channel. If you have a version prior to vMix 22, you won't see these GT options here, but you can continue to use the older titles that use our old titling system. So underneath the headers, you'll see all of the different title template options. So what we're going to do is we're going to select one, and then we're going to click OK. So that's going to bring the title now into our production. Now let's just bring this into the preview so we can see any changes that we make. So you'll notice on the left-hand side here, we have headline text, which corresponds to this headline, and then the description text, which corresponds to the description here. So if we want to make changes to it, we can click on it and we can write changes. So describe me, person. So now we've changed the text content here. Now some of the titles also have the ability to change a logo or a spinning logo or something like that. And you'll see an image option available here on the left, and you can click browse and select an image to change for that title. So you'll notice that when I made changes to the title here, that it actually made changes live to the title that we have here in our production. So this might work if you've got the title in the preview or if it's in the input section. However, sometimes you might have a title that's always live, so you don't want those changes to be seen live. So in order to change how that works, all you need to do is click this live button down here, and that's going to give you the ability to make changes. So I've added a bunch of exclamation marks and you can't see them here. And when I want it to go live, I can just push the live button. So you can actually make changes to titles while they're being displayed on the show, and then make changes to it. And then when you want it to push it live, just press the live button down the bottom here. Okay, so this is the title editor screen. So we can make changes to the content here. So if I selected the headline here, I can go ahead and change the font, size, all that kind of stuff on this screen. Then I can also make changes to the font really quickly by pressing this minus button here and a plus button here. Next to it, I can change the color of the font if I wanted to. So if I wanted to make it this color, for example, I could change that color. It's a bit bright, so let's go to red here. So now I've changed the color of the font. We have some ticker settings here. We're not going to go over that today. You can check out the ticker videos for that. Next to that, we have an important section called data sources. Now, data sources allow you to dynamically populate content from a spreadsheet or an online source like XML, RSS, Google Sheets directly into the production. You can also use local text files as well if you wanted to. So that allows you to have somebody editing a spreadsheet and bringing in content directly to the title based on that particular spreadsheet content or something like that. So you can check out our data sources video on our YouTube channel for more information about data sources. Now finally, we also have a spell check as well, so it's always important to be able to spell check your title to make sure that there's no mistakes. Now underneath that, you'll see a clock section. Now the clock section allows you to add different clocks to the title, time of day, countdowns, that type of thing. We also have a countdown section here. You can check out the videos for those if you want to know more information about that, or check out our help guide. Now, one of the really important things about the title editor is the preset section. Now, down the bottom, we have the ability to add multiple different presets to a single title. So maybe you've got 20 people coming on your show and you just want to use the one title in the same way, you can add all of those different guests into the preset section and then just switch between them really quickly and easily. So let's just do a quick example here. Let's first of all add the Tim preset. So as you can see now here, we have the Tim preset. Let's say Jim's coming on the show. He's also a person. We have Kim, she's coming on the show, she's a person. So we have a bunch of different presets now for Tim, Jim, and Kim. So now, as you can see, as we change these, they will now switch. So we can then export these if we wanted to via CSV by clicking this here. We can import a giant list of titles in a CSV format by clicking this button here. And we can also clear this out and delete them using the plus and minus button here to add more and to delete them. So that's really handy if you've got a ton of different people that you want to have on the show that you just want to quickly switch between. Okay, so now I've just closed down that screen and now I've jumped back into the vMix production. Now, if I want to get back into the title editor, I can right click it and then select it. And then I can also right click to select those different presets that I added before for Jim and Kim and Tim. Okay, so now how do I get this title that I've created into my production? Well, the easiest way is to use one of these 4 channels underneath your input. So the overlay channels in vMix allow you to temporarily overlay content wherever you like. So you can build a channel and then put it in that location. So I'm just going to overlay this into channel 1. And as you can see, it's going to display. I think I've got this overlay set up as a timer, so it should go away after about 5 seconds or so. So now I'm going to quickly show you how to set up these overlay channels for the titles. So we have a full video about overlay channels that you can check out on our YouTube video. So this is what I've set up for overlay channel 1. In number 1, I've set it up as a full screen. Typically for titles, for lower thirds especially, you want to have them full screen. You can select picture in picture, but full screen works best for lower thirds. Now for the effect, I've selected a cut. Now because all of the GT title animations are built into the title, I don't want to then go ahead and use a fade or a slide on top of those animations. If I use a cut, it's going to cut directly to the title and use all of the animations that are built into it. However, if you wanted to have a static title or something else, you could select fade or a different transition effect, and then that will fade in on top of using any animations that you have on it. Or if you've got a static title, it will just use this effect here. Then you can select the effect duration. So if you had a fade or a slide, you can select how long it transitions. Then the duration, you can select 5,000 like I showed you before, which was 5 seconds, and then it will transition out. If I select 0 here, 0 milliseconds, it means that I manually control when the title is overlaid and when it's taken off. So I'm just going to leave the 0 here to show the example of that. And then you can ignore the stinger information because it's not a stinger, and I can adjust the alpha of the overlay channel too. So I'm going to click OK down the bottom here. Now, as you can see, when I press the 1, it's going to overlay in. Now, because I set the timer to 0, it means that I'm manually controlling it, so I press the button again to make it disappear. The overlays work in the preview as well, so I can right-click this here, and this will appear in the preview if I wanted to check it out. And then I could actually transition this across, and it's going to transition across my title as well. And then I can remove it like so. All right, so that is how you can set up the overlays. Again, you should probably check out the overlay channels if you want to know more information about that. Now, as I showed you before, you can use the titles as a part of an overlay, but you can also use it in the input multi-views as well. So for example, on this camera here, if I always wanted to have a title on it, I could add a title to one of the layers of the multi-view like so. So I could build it from scratch and add multiple layers and add titles to it as well. Now, if I added another title, for example, let's go ahead and maybe add one of these spinning logos up the top. I could then go ahead and add that as an additional overlay. So I can use this in the top corner like so. So I can have a multi-view with titles, but I can also be overlaying temporary titles as well. Now you can check out the input multi-view video if you want to know a little bit more about the multi-view and how it works. So like everything else in vMix, you can automate the overlay process. You don't need to press these little buttons underneath. You can use shortcuts and triggers to fully automate the process of overlaying a title. So I'm going to go to the settings and go to shortcut section. Then I'm going to go to add, and I'm going to quickly use my space bar here. And then you'll see we've got an overlay function for our shortcuts. So I'm going to select overlay input 1. So that's overlay channel 1. And this option here is to toggle on and off. So I can use my space bar to turn on and turn off my particular title that I want to select. So then I need to select my title that I want to be using. I can give it a title. I can use the shortcut functions down here, click OK. So now when I hit the space bar in the overlay channel 1, it's going to put my title. Click OK down here. So let me just grab my keyboard. And as you can see here, when I hit the space bar, overlays my title. When I press it again, it disappears. So that's really handy for setting up a MIDI controller, Stream Deck, X keys to go ahead and control all of your overlay channels and titles and that type of thing. This also works really well with the triggering system as well. So in the vMix Funtime Live show, I trigger our titles to overlay when we transition from our intro video. So it automatically happens. So let's just do a real quick example here. In this video, let's go to triggers. So when we transition in, we want to overlay on channel 1 our title, like so. And we could also add a delay to this as well, so it doesn't happen instantly when it transitions in. But we're just going to leave this like so for now. So when this transitions in this video, it's going to overlay in channel 1 our title. So let's just transition this in. And then as you can see, it's automatically overlaid our title. Then I can go ahead and remove it whenever I want. Do you want to know when your title's being used? Well, you can actually use the vMix activators to get real-time feedback to let you know that your title is currently in the production. So with MIDI controllers, X keys, and Stream Decks, you can set up activators in vMix to alert you as to whether the title is being used in an overlay channel. So you can make a light flash, you can make a light turn on, or you can make changes to the buttons. So if you want to know more about activators, you can check out our activators tutorial. You can also use titles in the input multi-view as well. So if you had a multi-layered scene that you want to do temporarily add titles, you can add that to it just by using the overlay channels as well. You can add the titles to a different layer on the multi-view. It's entirely up to you how you use them. There's tons of different ways that you can use them in your production. Although we have a lot of templates for titles in vMix, you can also create custom ones as well. So if you go to the hamburger menu here, you'll see the GT title designer. That'll give you the ability to create all kinds of fancy titles. And we have plenty of videos on how to create those on our YouTube channel. Now, if you have an older version of vMix, say 21 or older, then you'll see the vMix title designer that you can use to create titles. And we also have videos about that as well. And that's also been renamed to the legacy title designer in vMix 22 and onwards. So if you do have any questions about using vMix, including titles, please send us an email via the support page on vmix.com. As you can imagine, it's very hard to answer technical questions via YouTube comments, so please send us through an email. So thanks for watching, and we'll stream you later.
Thanks for watching. Click to watch another exciting vMix video or head to vmix.com for a free 60-day trial. See you later.